Few figures in history embody the terrifying blend of bureaucratic detachment and systematic cruelty as chillingly as Adolf Eichmann. Remembered infamously as one of the principal architects of the Holocaust, Eichmann's story is not that of a charismatic ideologue or a bombastic demagogue, but of a methodical and efficient functionary who helped orchestrate one of the greatest atrocities in human history. From his early days in the Austrian Nazi Party to his leadership role in organizing the logistics of mass deportation and extermination, Eichmann's career is a window into how ordinary men can become key cogs in genocidal machinery. His post-war flight, dramatic capture by Israeli agents, and landmark trial further illuminate the legacy of the Holocaust and the enduring global struggle for justice and memory. Adolf Otto Eichmann was born on March 19, 1906 in Solingen, Germany, into a middle-class Lutheran family. After the death of his mother, the Eichmann family moved to Linz, Austria, where Adolf's father worked as a manager for an electrical company. Ironically, Linz was also where a young Adolf Hitler spent much of his youth. Though Eichmann had an unremarkable academic career and eventually dropped out of vocational school, where he was studying engineering, his early exposure to pan-Germanist and anti-Semitic ideas planted the seeds for his later fanaticism. In the 1920s, as the Weimar Republic in Germany and Austria reeled from economic collapse and political instability, Eichmann found himself attracted to the ideology of National Socialism. In 1932, he joined both the Austrian Nazi Party and the Schutzstaffel, or SS, the elite paramilitary organization that would later become synonymous with Nazi terror. His loyalty to the party and talent for organization would soon find purpose in the Nazi regime's increasingly radical anti-Jewish policies. In 1934, Eichmann joined the Sicherheitsdienst, the SS intelligence service. He was assigned to the Jewish section, where he began compiling information on Jewish organizations, communities, and potential means of controlling and removing them from German society. Initially, Nazi policy focused on forced emigration rather than extermination. Eichmann became the SD's leading expert on Jewish emigration, and in 1937, he even traveled to Mandatory Palestine to explore the feasibility of expelling Jews there, a mission that ultimately failed due to British restrictions and the untenable political situation. From 1938 onward, following the Anschluss, Germany's annexation of Austria, Eichmann took charge of the Central Office for Jewish Emigration in Vienna. Here he refined what would become his signature approach, using bureaucracy as a weapon. Jews were forced to register all their possessions, stripped of property and rights, and herded into an intricate web of permits, quotas, and administrative hurdles. Under the guise of legality, Eichmann engineered oppression with cold efficiency. In 1939, he replicated this model in Prague. By the outbreak of World War II, Eichmann had proven himself indispensable. He was promoted to Obersturmbannführer, or Lieutenant Colonel, and given command of the Jewish Affairs section within the Reich Security Main Office, reporting to Heinrich Himmler and Reinhard Heydrich, two of the most powerful and sinister figures in the Nazi regime. His career was now inseparably tied to the unfolding Holocaust. The turning point in Eichmann's role came with the planning and execution of the final solution, the Nazi regime's plan for the total extermination of Europe's Jewish population. In January 1942, Eichmann attended the infamous Wannsee Conference in Berlin, where top Nazi officials formally coordinated the logistics of genocide. Though not a high-ranking policymaker, Eichmann acted as secretary and was responsible for producing minutes of the meeting, a chilling 15-page document that laid out the planned murder of 11 million Jews. The conference confirmed that the Nazis had moved beyond forced emigration or ghettoization to industrial-scale extermination. Eichmann's task was to translate that vision into operational reality. His office was responsible for scheduling trains to transport Jews from across Europe to extermination camps such as Auschwitz, Treblinka, Belzec, and Sobibor. He liaised with foreign governments, secured cooperation from local collaborators, and oversaw the coordination of SS, police, and civilian agencies to ensure the process ran smoothly. In essence, Adolf Eichmann was the logistical brain behind the Holocaust. He was not stationed in the camps themselves, nor did he personally kill his victims, but his efficiency ensured that trains ran on time, quotas were met, and millions of people were delivered to their deaths. What sets Eichmann apart from other Nazi war criminals is not merely the scale of his actions, but the manner in which he executed them. He was the quintessential desk murderer, or Schreibtischtäter. His power did not lie in overt violence, but in memos, forms, timetables, and interdepartmental communications. He treated genocide as an administrative task, one that demanded precision, not pity. Eichmann's detached professionalism enabled him to rationalize mass murder. He took pride in solving logistical problems such as how to transport large numbers of Jews with limited trains, how to coordinate with local authorities in Hungary or Slovakia, or how to maintain secrecy while deportations were underway. Witnesses at his trial recalled his insistence on exact numbers and his tireless drive to meet deportation quotas. One of the most revealing episodes of Eichmann's career came in 1944, during the Nazi occupation of Hungary. Hungary had been a German ally but resisted full deportation of its Jewish population until Hitler ordered its occupation. Eichmann arrived in Budapest with a small SS unit and launched one of the most brutal and rapid deportation campaigns of the entire war. Between May and July 1944, under Eichmann's coordination, nearly 440,000 Hungarian Jews were deported, mostly to Auschwitz-Birkenau. The pace was staggering. Trains left daily, sometimes multiple times a day, packed with thousands of men, women and children. Most were gassed on arrival. Eichmann reportedly rejected opportunities to slow or halt the process, even in the face of international condemnation or the possibility of military defeat. In this phase, his ideological commitment was clear. He viewed the destruction of the Jews as a mission worth continuing even as the Third Reich crumbled. As Allied forces closed in during the final months of the war, Eichmann went into hiding. Captured by American forces in 1945, he escaped a POW camp and lived under false identities throughout Germany, before eventually fleeing Europe with the help of a rat line, a clandestine network that aided former Nazis in their escape. By 1950, he had arrived in Argentina using forged papers under the name Ricardo Clement. Eichmann settled into a modest life with his family, working at a Mercedes-Benz factory and living in a Buenos Aires suburb. For a time, it seemed he might evade justice. But in 1957, German prosecutor Fritz Bauer received information from a Holocaust survivor about Eichmann's whereabouts. Bauer passed the intelligence to Israeli authorities, who launched a daring operation. In May 1960, Israeli Mossad agents abducted Eichmann as he returned home from work. He was secretly flown to Israel and publicly revealed to be in custody. The operation shocked the world and triggered a diplomatic crisis with Argentina, but it marked the beginning of one of the most significant war crimes trials of the 20th century. Eichmann's trial, which began in April 1961, was a watershed moment for Holocaust remembrance and international law. It was the first televised war crimes trial and brought survivors' testimonies into homes around the world. Held in Jerusalem, the trial charged Eichmann with 15 counts, including crimes against humanity, war crimes, and crimes against the Jewish people. Throughout the trial, Eichmann maintained that he was merely a small cog in the machine, following orders under duress and bound by his oath to the Führer. His defense centered on the idea of obedience to authority, a notion famously dissected by political theorist Hannah Arendt in her coverage of the trial. Arendt coined the term the banality of evil to describe Eichmann, not as a sadistic monster, but as a disturbingly ordinary man who committed extraordinary crimes through detachment and moral blindness. The evidence presented was overwhelming. Documents bearing Eichmann's signature, railway schedules and deportation orders were matched by the heart-wrenching testimonies of Holocaust survivors. Eichmann showed no remorse and often responded with dry bureaucratic justifications. He was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to death. On June 1, 1962, Adolf Eichmann was executed by hanging. The legacy of Adolf Eichmann is vast and complex. His trial marked the moment when Holocaust memory shifted from post-war silence to global recognition. Survivors who had long been marginalized were now heard. Their stories became integral to the world's understanding of the Nazi genocide. Eichmann's story also challenges assumptions about evil. He was not psychotic nor driven by greed or sadism. He was, by most accounts, an unremarkable man, one who showed how administrative obedience and ideological zeal could be fused to devastating effect. His trial set legal precedents for crimes against humanity and universal jurisdiction, paving the way for future international tribunals from Rwanda to The Hague. In literature and media, Eichmann has remained a symbol of modern mechanized evil. His life has been explored in films such as Operation Finale, 2018, and documentaries like The Eichmann Show. His trial transcripts are still studied in law schools and ethics seminars, offering chilling insights into how ordinary individuals can rationalize atrocities. Adolf Eichmann's story is a haunting reminder that evil need not wear a grotesque mask. Sometimes it wears a suit and tie, shuffles papers and signs memos. His bureaucratic ruthlessness and ideological fanaticism made him a central figure in the Holocaust, and his trial forced the world to confront uncomfortable truths about responsibility, memory and justice. In understanding Eichmann, we do not simply learn about one man, we learn about systems, ideologies and the terrifying ease with which society can descend into horror. His legacy is both a warning and a call to remember, to resist dehumanization and to never allow the machinery of murder to hide behind a desk. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Blistering History.